Hi, I'm Everett Pelkey.
And I'm Mike Leighton. We're snowboard experts with Curated.com, and today we are at Powder Mountain, Utah.
Woo. And we're here riding the Salomon Super 8 in the K2 instrument.
We're going to be putting these boards to the test in 3 categories: carving, freestyle, and freeride. So we can figure out which of these boards is the best for you.
Just so you know, we're not sponsored by any of these brands, and all of these reviews are completely unbiased.
K2 claims that the instrument is an all-mountain freeride board with a heavy dose of fresh snow and carving.
And the Salomon Super 8, their claim for it is a precise maneuverability board that's also powder friendly. You're able to rail in carves and turns on that thing like all day long, but then as soon as you hit any soft spots, it could float as much as you needed it to.
Well, there was something interesting about the Super 8. Like, what did you notice with turning?
This is so backseat driven, which is not typical for a snowboard. Having that back foot camber makes it you really have to press it on like a gas pedal to really get it to go. But as soon as you did that, it just goes.
Yeah, and one of the big things on the Salomon that are the differences between the two boards is there's rocker in the nose here in the K2, and on the Salomon it's actually flat. So, and the camber starts a little bit further back. So you kind of, it really wants you to accelerate out of the turn. So I found a little bit when it was a little bit harder packed, like how I traditionally would try to get my hip forward in a heel side turn, it got a little chattery. And once I shifted that weight a little bit further aft, it just like, that was a sweet spot. Yeah, that was a sweet spot. I think with the instrument's a lot more a traditional carver.
Definitely.
So it's got a wider platform. I mean, they both have wider platforms, but this is designed to be ridden 3 to 5 centimeters shorter than your normal board. A little bit more of that traditional camber in there. Even though it does have that bit of rocker, but as a result, once you got it up on edge, at least the way I like to ride, this thing is so much fun, whether you're putting your chest to the snow or you're just like trying to lay trenches.
Oh, you get low.
Yeah,
you get low.
You get real low. But, you know, honestly, very different approaches to the similar style of riding.
Yep.
I mean, they both lived up to the bill, but for me, the carving on this was just, I was just like, this is way too much fun. Can we go again? I want to go faster. How do you think they handled speed?
So with the speed, especially on this one, I felt like there's a gas brake kind of like situation going on there when you wanted to open up. This one you press back, this one you press forward, and they just go. They will just take off on you. It's very similar through all of K2's new lineup with these boards this year, that they're really trying to push that lightweight material, but also really snappy and responsive. And it shows in this board for sure. Where this one, you get a little bit more laid back, but it doesn't mean you're going slow.
No.
You're definitely pushing into it. This is more of, you gotta be ready to really commit to going fast, hard charging, and it goes.
Well, I think it's kind of like you hold on for dear life and surf it out, and as a result, you kind of like get into this flow. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're like, whoa, I'm flying.
Yeah. It's 2 different ways of driving. This one's a backseat driver, this one's right up front.
Yeah. My pick for carving would be the instrument. I think the instrument just matches that energetic style that I look for, especially on a carving snowboard.
And I felt over here, just this way of backseat driving, you're really able to adjust the degree of how much you want to put into it or take out of it. So you're almost able to brake while you're in carves. So that's why I personally like the Salomon over here. Disclaimer, we are not supposed to be riding these as freestyle boards, but yet we will take anything as a freestyle board.
Yeah.
And these surprisingly could take a beating. You feel super stable when taking off and landing. You know, turn initiation into more of a spin or something like that won't be the best, especially in the K2 I felt was a little more torsionally stiff. Somehow we found ways to butter on them. I would not recommend it.
I think the pop on this thing is like, this is the runaway winner for pop.
That's a springboard.
Yeah.
That's 100% what that is.
From like a stability standpoint though, like the Super 8, you're locked in when you land. And you can also kind of, if you land in that back seat a little bit, you can definitely find the stability out.
Yeah, and it's also, I felt that the Salomon was a little bit softer, which gave you more of that playful feel, especially that flat nose. You were able to actually get on the nose or tail when you wanted to. You're able to like roll it around a little bit more, so it's a little bit more forgiving, so you can have more butter style playfulness. But when it came to pop and anything else like that, the K2 had that taken care of all day.
In terms of switch, obviously both boards are directional. They both have longer noses than tails. And they both have some form of either flat or rocker in the nose. So you can ride them switch. I wouldn't recommend it a lot. it does feel a little bit like you got a rudder dragging behind you on a boat when you're turning. So for freestyle, I would go with the instrument just because I just enjoyed how much pop there was in this.
The pop aspect on this, I would give only that to the K2. I think it's the only thing I won it on. But every other aspect when it came to more freestyle, you know, messing around, the softness, the flat in the front, and the way it's really heavily set back with that camber, so you get a little bit more, it feels a little bit more forgiving. I'm gonna give it to the Salomon.
I think both boards we didn't really get to ride in a lot of powder, but slush is kind of like, you know, wet powder. I really enjoyed how the instrument handled the slush. I felt, you know, it's quick edge to edge. It's really maneuverable. I think the only knock for me on the instrument is because it's so lively is that it can get chattery once you get into more uneven terrain. So at lower speeds, it's gonna be just fine. But I think once you get into the higher speeds, in choppier, more chundery terrain, it gets a little loose, whereas I think the Salomon was a little bit more stable in those situations.
I would definitely say in conditions like today where it's extra slushy, springtime conditions, you're finding more stability in this board, just the way it's meant to just be back seat driven. You're able to like whip it around in more nimble spots. You know, it's gonna give you more of a dampening system out of it. And that's really because of that back foot press, it's gonna lift up that nose even better. So you're gonna get that extra float when you do hit powder. So I was able to find softer spots where it would go on that. This one, on more technical days, that's where this one shines.
Yeah, so I think on like a harder packed day and like more challenging conditions, the instrument is definitely the choice, but on slushier, like where it's more like slashes, like, you know, cruising around, I mean, the Salomon's really, really fun.
Yeah.
And I think because both the way that they're designed, like they're both incredibly maneuverable in trees. This I think is quicker edge to edge, so in like tighter stuff, I would say this. You know, at the same time, you're not going to go wrong.
Yeah.
With the Super 8 either.
For Freeride, I want us to keep going with the Salomon, but I think this is the one time the K2 takes the cake on that one.
For Freeride overall, I do think the K2, it's just fun.
The technical aspects, it's what wins me over on that.
So for the type of rider I am, I really think the K2 instrument is the best choice for me. I really enjoy the wider platform over the front foot. I really enjoy that because of the volume shift, you can run it a bit smaller. So when you get into tighter trees, moguls, whatever, it stays incredibly mobile. There's a ton of pop, so if you want to send rollers, send them. And it also really holds a really great edge.
Yeah, that K2 instrument is a lot of fun. I would say it holds an edge much better, but for some reason I felt like I get a much higher edge control on the Salomon 8, and understanding really using that back foot, which is not the most traditional way of riding a snowboard that everyone's used to. And it even took me a little bit. Once I figured that out, it opened up a world of possibilities. So I'm sticking with the Salomon 8. The Super 8, oh my gosh, that was fun.
So we know this all came down to personal opinion, and a different board that works for Everett might not work for me. Different boards work so differently for different riders and in different conditions. So click the link in the description, get connected with Everett or myself or another Curated expert, and we'll help you get set up on that best board for you.
If you like what you saw here today, click the subscribe button to see more from Curated.
And let us know in the comments what boards you'd like to see in the next head-to-head.